Today I want to talk about everyone's favorite story when I tell it, the sewer mound story. This one goes back to around 2005, and it's one of those stories people always remember because it perfectly captures what federal contracting really looks like in the real world, now not the textbook version. I came across a federal solicitation for a job somewhere in the middle of Oklahoma. The contract value I ended up getting was $98,900, and the scope was simple on paper: install 2 new sewer mounds at a federal facility. Here's the problem: I had no idea what a sewer mound was. Back then, Google Maps was nothing like it is today. As soon as you got outside of a city, everything turned into a pixelated mess. I tried zooming in on the job site to get some kind of layout, some context, anything, and there was nothing useful. Just blurry pixels, no terrain detail, no facility layout, no clues. All I had was the solicitation. It said install 2 sewer mounds. That's it. Now, this was an RFQ, and it was a combined synopsis solicitation. And here's the GCExperts' position on those. Even back then, this is what they want. Give them a price. They're not asking you to redesign the system. They're not asking you to engineer it. They're asking for a number. So I did what a lot of people say you shouldn't do. I priced it anyway. I turned in a quote for $98,900, thinking to myself, if I get a $100,000 job, I'll figure it out. A couple of days go by. It's a Friday afternoon and I'm out on my boat. Back then, that's what I was doing: boating, hanging out with friends, drinking a lot. I get a phone call. It's a contracting officer. She starts off with, "Hi, I'd like to talk to you about solicitation number." And she rattles off this long string of numbers and letters. I'm thinking, what job is this? Then she says, the sewer mound job. And my immediate reaction is pure honesty. I say, "Oh man, I wasn't expecting your call. Can I call you back in 24 to 48 hours? She says, "Sure." And I hang up the phone thinking that was easy. Because here's the truth: I was in no condition to have a federal contracting conversation right then. And that right there is a little side lesson. You can ask for time. The next day, I wake up and I start making phone calls. I can't remember what the nearest major city was, but I start by calling a septic system guy. I wasn't calling him because I thought he necessarily did sewer mounds. I called him because I figured if anyone knew who did sewer mounds, it would be him. I get him on the phone and I say, "Hey, do you know who does sewer mounds?" He says, "I do." Now my tone changes immediately. I start pressing him. "Hey man, I need a price. Just give me a number." And he keeps pushing back. "Sean, I need to go look at it." So he drives out there. It takes him an hour to drive, an hour to look, and an hour to drive back. I remember this clearly because his cell phone didn't work. It was that remote. Finally, he calls me back. And he says, "Sean, they don't need 2 sewer mounds. They need 3." Now, this is where something really important happens. The moment he said $39,000, my internal budget instantly changed. Before that call, I had no anchor. Now I did. So I replied, "Gosh, my budget for 2 was $20,000, 10 grand a piece. If they need 3, my budget would be $30,000. Can you do it for 30?" And he said, "Sure." At that moment, my next call was obvious. I immediately called the contracting officer and said, "We accept." In my head, I'm doing the math. 98,900 contract, 30,000 cost. I'm thinking that's $70,000. That's a good day. The guy went out there, did the job, and everything moved forward. And then people always ask me the same question: what about the 3rd sewer mound? And that's a fair question, because if I had known before award that they needed 3 instead of 2, I could have negotiated. But at what price? 50,000 apiece, 150,000 total? Here was my concern at the time, and this is real world thinking, not theory. What if I push this too hard? What if they decide to terminate the contract and re-solicit it now that they know they need 3? What if I lose the entire job and that $70,000 profit disappears? That risk mattered more to me than being right. Could I have tried to negotiate after award? Maybe. Could I have pushed for a modification? Sure. But there's always a line where protecting profit matters more than squeezing the last dollar. So I ate it and moved forward. And that's the part people don't always like to hear. Sometimes the smartest move is not the most aggressive one. This was still an RFQ. It was still a combined synopsis solicitation. I was at no risk submitting the quote. And with those types of solicitations, you often know going in that you don't have all the information. So, what do contractors naturally do when information is incomplete? They raise their price. That's exactly what I did, and it worked. Here we are almost 20 years later, and I still don't really know what a sewer mound is, but apparently I'm an expert at them. And if you want to understand how stories like this actually translate into real federal contract wins, real judgment calls, and real money, not theory, not fluff, then schedule a Zoom with me. Go to GCExperts.com/Zoom. I'll walk you through how this stuff really works, what to worry about, what not to worry about, and how to think like someone who's actually done it. I'll see you in the next one.